We didn't actually believe in the modern day gift of prophecy. We were fairly cessationist from our theological leanings until we started writing articles and they started coming true.
It's just thinking like a leftist, right? It's, what's the most insane thing that these people could do right now, and that's what's going to happen in 2 weeks.
So I'm Kyle Mann. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee, which means I approve all the content that goes up. I write a lot of the content myself. I make sure that Joel doesn't tell any racist jokes. That's kind of what I do.
I started as just a Babylon Bee fan. Started writing for the Bee part-time. And what Kyle and I kind of found over time is that we're very similar in our voice and sensibilities. Satirists deconstruct and mock things, and that's part of our job. But as Christians, we're trying to not just do that, but point people beyond that to where the truth and where the hope is. And looking back at the biblical prophets, people like Daniel, who lived their lives in exile in these foreign lands, it does lend some perspective. As you see things seemingly crumbling all around you, nothing seems to be going well. You worry about the future. Remember that perspective that, God is still on the throne.
Israel was in exile in Babylon for 70 years-ish. God's people were in exile in this land, and so for us as Christians, that really resonated during the craziness of the 2016 election, that we felt like we were in this land of Babylon in exile. We didn't really have a political home. And how much more does that resonate today, is that so. And then, the Bee's got a stinger, so that's really nice for a satire. We're in the middle of a site redesign, and we are going to be introducing a prophecy-fulfilled badge so we can start keeping track of our batting average.
We've had as long as 2 or 3 years for something to be fulfilled, to as short as a few hours. I think our quickest fulfilled prophecy was when Trump had the Abraham Accords. We wrote an article saying that CNN criticized Trump for not social distancing while he's shaking the hands of these world leaders. And not more than 45 minutes after we published that article, CNN does just that.
I do a lot of them, but that's mostly because I write a lot of them. So I get more plate appearances.
Yeah, but I think all of our writers have scored at least one.
I think, Democrats every morning just pull up the Babylon Bee, and that's where they get their policy ideas. We did an article saying, right at the beginning of the pandemic, pants sales plummet as everyone working from home. The very next day, Walmart released a sales report saying, amid coronavirus, Walmart says it's seeing increased sales of tops, but not bottoms.
One of my favorites is the one that was insanely, it may have been our most accurate prediction ever, where on July 6th of 2021, we wrote a headline that said, to improve public perception, Kamala Harris taking likability lessons from Hillary Clinton. On August 5th of this year, article comes out, White House asks Hillary staffers how to make Kamala more likable.
So in 2017, very early in the days of the Babylon Bee, we wrote a joke saying 2 + 2 = 4 insists closed-minded bigot. And then that was actually a firestorm going around on Twitter for a month or so, was a lot of leftists arguing that 2 + 2 = 4 is actually, bigotry and colonialism.
The satire seemed to write itself when Trump was in office because there was just so much that was funny about him. He's kind of a cartoon character by himself. Biden, it's like there's only so many old man jokes you can make.
Fewer, not more, fewer. I don't know what we're yelling about!
The left didn't understand how to make fun of Trump. You really have to roll with his character. He's such a character anyway. And then they tried to be like, oh, he's Hitler or he's an idiot. Or, it's like, that's not funny. It's not interesting. So we kind of understood Trump to be this like Michael Scott character where he was both like really kind of vulnerable to criticism and took it really hard. And at the same time was like, just sort of boisterous and confident on the outside, and it made for just so many great jokes. Biden, you almost just feel bad for him. It's punching down to make fun of this oppressed old man who doesn't know where he is.
I don't know.
So the book is called The Babylon Bee Guide to Wokeness, and it's a couple hundred pages just packed with cartoons, stick figure diagrams, all kinds of information of how to become woke from the perspective of the left. Recently, I did an interview with The Atlantic. They were kind of flipping through it and going, well, that's not funny, that because I think there was this kind of prophetic, like, oh, wait, you're actually really nailing what our worldview is.
Do you worry about that people, regardless of how many times you make it clear that you're a satire website or whatever, that people will read that and be like, oh, this is actually a fact that I saw. I'm a boomer, scrolling through my Facebook feed. I actually think that this is a real thing that Democrats do. Does that pose any ethical responsibilities for you guys?
Not any more so than any other comedian who gets mistaken for being real. Does SNL bear responsibility because people still think that Sarah Palin said that she could see Russia from her house?
And I can see Russia from my house.
We wrote the book almost from the perspective of an overly earnest woke person who is not self-aware enough to parse their words and hide it under semantics. It's an overly honest depiction of what wokeness is. And we found what's funny about it is we didn't have to embellish it that much. You can almost pretty much describe what wokeness is, and it reads like satire.
I think it was Titania McGrath, or what was it, Andrew Doyle, who said that the real absurdity of the current situation is that you have the left controlling all of the cultural institutions and yet thinking that they are oppressed. And that really is what makes for a lot of the comedy, and what we're going for there is just kind of this whole voice of thinking you are fighting for the oppressed ones when really, you're on the side of Disney and Chevron, and every university and the president of the United States. There's this weird thing where when you're in this leftist bubble, you cannot see things from the perspective of the right. So when they see an article where like General Soleimani's killed by a missile strike and Democrats call for the flags to be flown at half-staff, they don't see, they literally do not think there is a joke there. They go, well, what's the joke? Like, what is funny about that? I don't understand.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, austere religious scholar at helm of Islamic State, dies at 48. Yes, that's real.
The fact that a national newspaper would describe this person as an austere scholar in their headline in the immediate aftermath of the achievements of President Trump and the administration is truly appalling.
As conservatives, if we want to push this idea of civil discussion and civil disagreement, then you have to be willing to talk to reporters who maybe don't understand your jokes. Like whenever the left tries to silence you and cancel you, it's just so ridiculous on its face that we are kind of the one comedic site on the right, and they're constantly just coming after us and hammering us. They tell us to go build our own things. You don't like our comedy, go make your own comedy site. So we do, and then they try to censor us, silence us, fact check us, ban us. It's just insane. So that kind of stuff just kind of shows that we're over the target, in my view.
There is so much to laugh about. There's so much to mock in our culture today. It's really fun. It's really life-giving. It's really encouraging to get that feedback from our readers that people who are going insane with what they see in the news every day can come to the Bee, have a few laughs, and get that relief. It's really nice to hear.
Yeah, and once we're going to predict that AOC is going to open up her gulags within the next year or two, and we just want to encourage everyone to pick up a copy of the Babylon Bee Guide to Wokeness, smuggle it in however you can, and that'll keep you sane.
It'll make great toilet paper too.
Yeah,
perforated pages in there,
or food. It's edible.